Horizon d'Afrique, a production of Kwasambia African TV, bridging Africa to the world.
This show is brought to you by John Udrago, Nebraska Realty, serving you and this community since 2019.
We want to thank our viewer for joining us today here in the studio Thomas Sankara, for our show, Horizon d'Afrique. Horizon d'Afrique is a production of Kwasambia African TV. And today we are here again to talk about issues pertaining to African immigrant, issues pertaining to the African continent. And we have a guest that is holding quite a few titles. Mr. Adama Sawadogo,
yes.
Welcome to the studio. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I should remind our viewers that you are, Mr. Adama Sawadogo, you have been working with a lot of nonprofit here in United States. You hold a master in communication and a master in humanitarian crisis management from the University of Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso.
Yes.
You also have a bachelor in child protection, is that right?
Yes.
And you are now working on a master's degree in public health.
Yeah, I already got that one too.
Oh, wow. So,
yes.
Hey, so that's, just like I say, you hold a lot of titles,
Thank you.
But interesting, you are currently working with the Sapi County Health Start.
Yes.
And you are also the president of the Association of People from Burkina Faso here in Nebraska.
Yes.
Now, finally, you are also the executive director of a Nebraska-based nonprofit organization serving African immigrant, and it's called the African Immigrant Family Services.
Yes.
So that's quite a few titles, and that should keep you busy, right?
I'm busy.
So,
yes.
Well, today we have you here because we wanted to talk about the issue of integration among African immigrants here in the U.S. And Mr. Sawadogo, just like I mentioned before, you are a leader of the Burkina Faso community. You are actually the president of the Association of the People from Burkina Faso. Briefly tell us a little bit about the Burkina Faso community here in Nebraska.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pierre. Thank you for having me here. It's a very pleasure for me to be here. This is my second time being in this studio, and that you guys call Studio Thomas Sankara. That's a very honor for people from Burkina Faso. Yeah, Burkina Faso community, we had a last census that was in 2021. When we did that census, we count more than 1,000 people living in Nebraska. Wow. Well, and this number doesn't include the children. So we have, in this past of 5 years, we have a lot of people, Burkina Faso people, move to Nebraska. Those move from some state, and those just move from Burkina Faso directly to come in this country, in this state. In this number too, we found out that there is more young people than older people. Like we have like 80% as young. That means the age is between 20 to 35 that live in Nebraska here.
That's very good. It looks like the community is growing and growing
The
fast.
community is growing. The community is growing. That's
very
true.
Good,
yes.
Very good. So I want to dive right into the subject. As you know, immigration have been a hot topic in recent months.
Yes.
So looking from a perspective of an immigrant, from the point of view of an immigrant, what is the word immigration? What all the word immigration carries?
Okay. That's true. When to talk about immigrants or immigration, we always see people that move from other countries than the United States. Like it can move from Africa. That as me, I moved from Burkina Faso. That's in West Africa. We also have some other countries where people move there to come here. Okay, why they move here? They can move here because they need a better life. They can move here to study. They can move here because there is a lot of crisis where they came from. So different kind of situation can make them to move in this country, in the United States, specifically in Nebraska. So immigrant, for me, when I try to describe immigration, I'm trying to look different factors, different perspectives. Like when I talked about immigrants, I talked about legal issue, immigrant, the legal statute, the legal perspective. Because in immigration, we have people who are citizens, we have people who has a legal, permanent legal residence, we have people who just you have to visit, and we have also undocumented people who doesn't have document, but they are immigrant. Right. And we also can, I don't want to put a refugee in this thing, but sometimes there is a warning. When we say refugee and immigrant, we can put all these two things in the same thing. Yeah. So the legal issue is a big deal. Is a big deal that can affect people immigrant integration. So according to your statute, to your legal statute, it can explain how your integration will be in this country. I see. Someone who has who is citizen, he has the opportunity that the person has is very different with someone who just have a working permit. Or someone who came to visit. You cannot have a driver license. You need to drive. Like in Nebraska, you know that transportation, for example, transportation is an issue. Right. If you live in this state, and you cannot have a driver license, how you want to drive? So you need to use a bus, you need the money to use bus, you need to use taxi, and all this, it can be an issue for immigrants. You cannot go to school, education aspect, you cannot go to school. There is a lot of things that your statute can make you to have difficulties that can be a very complex situation for your life regarding your immigration status.
Very good. And I want to remind our viewer that we are here with Mr. Adama Sawadogo from the Burkina Faso community. And my name is Pierre, here at Horizon d'Afrique. We are going to talk and continue talking about issues pertaining to African immigrants. And Mr. Sawadogo, I want to, as I mentioned before, you are the president of an organization called Immigrant, African Immigrant Family Services. Now, could you explain to our viewer what is unique about the client that your organization serves?
Thank you. African Immigrant Family Services is a non-profit organization. What makes us very unique in this, in the service that we provide, we focus our service to our French-speaking immigrants. So we realize that in Nebraska, there's a lot of nonprofit who serve immigrants. But to find exactly French-speaking nonprofit, you know, language is a very big issue for immigrants. So then I decide with friends, okay, why we don't have something to help those immigrants? I came here as a French-speaking immigrant, and I have to have people around me to interpret, to translate some document, to do, you know, to help me. But that was people that I know. Right. So we think that it's also good to have like a French-speaking non-profit that can just focus their service to those community. So people from Togo, from Burkina Faso, from Cameroon who speak French, from Mali, from Niger, we have all different kind of countries in Nebraska, and those speak French. Then we just focus our services to them. But it doesn't mean it's limited to them, but if you don't speak French, we can also assist you. But our main target population that we serve is a French-speaking immigrants.
Very good, thank you, thank you. So, and you point out something that's important when you were talking about transportation issue and all that. And as part of the one of the masters that you are pursuing, you are currently working on a problem, on a team, right? Or a tease titled "The Problem of Integration for African Immigrant in the U.S." Could you share some of the key findings about your work?
Yes, yeah. I did a thesis on immigration and African immigrant integration in Nebraska. Yeah, the research that we did gave us a lot of interesting results. First, we found that language is the main issue for African immigrants in Nebraska.
Language.
Language.
Very good. Okay.
If you came in Nebraska or United States and you cannot speak English, you will face a lot of difficulties. First, you will face the difficulties to get a job. Any job you will need to get, you will find that you need to speak a little bit English because there is communication in the workplace.
Right.
And talking about finding a job with the language barrier, if you don't speak English, that means the job you will get is a job where we don't talk a lot. And the job we don't talk a lot, what kind of job is it? You will work in a factory. You will work in a restaurant. You will do some kind of job. And you know that many Africans, immigrants who's coming here, they are educated. Some coming here with masters, some are coming here with bachelors. A lot who don't really have high school, there is not a lot, just a few. So that it doesn't mean that they don't have skills, they don't have to work. But since they cannot speak the English, it will be a very difficult barrier for them to get a good job.
So the language acquisition, according to your research, is one of the key barriers that is holding back some of those or most of those African immigrants who, according to you, are highly skilled or highly educated before moving here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So another key result that we found out is again, anything is based on language. If you cannot speak English, it will be difficult for you it cannot facilitate your integration. What I mean by integration is what? You need to be in the community. You need to be involved in the community doing first, if you have difficulties to speak English, you will face health issues. How you want access to health. You cannot speak English. So first, you don't have any information. You need someone who can talk to you to give you information. And people speak English. So where can I go as an immigrant to find a hospital for myself or for my kids? That can be an issue. If I go to the hospital, did I have someone there who can speak with me to explain what I need or what they will be doing to me? You know, all this, I know some hospitals have translators, yeah. But what I figured out, I went to hospital with, I speak French. Something that I didn't tell, I have a bachelor in French language back home.
Right.
When I listened to the translator translating for the patient that I went with, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult.
I will have to agree with you.
Yeah, so we really need, so this immigrant who's coming will face a lot of difficulties. Even if you come and you need housing, how you will get a housing? You need to go to talk to the landlord. You need to get the information to go rent your house, rent an apartment. So there is a lot of difficulties that immigrants face, specifically when they just move to the United States.
So the language, if I understand, is the base, is the key. Now,
yeah.
Do you, according to your research,
yeah.
do you believe that this language barrier is ultimately hindering the the American dream, if I may express it, is hindering the American dream for some of those immigrant, some of those African immigrants here in Nebraska?
Yeah, yeah, I can say yes because, you know, even all of us, before we move here, we think about that. We think about how can I communicate with people when I arrive to the United States, since I'm a French-speaking immigrant. Or if you came from China, or you came from other country where they don't speak English, how you want to communicate. So this is something that we always have in mind. And when we arrive, we trying to find places where we can learn English, ESL classes.
So you got a good point when you mentioned other immigrants from China or from Latin America or even from Europe. Now, all of them have to learn English, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, with the resources that we have here in Nebraska, okay, in terms of language acquisition, there's a lot of organizations that are offering it. Do you feel those are enough? Do you feel those are appropriate for the need on the community? Or do you feel that other communities are going through the same thing that the African community are going through in terms of language barrier?
Yes, I think there is a resources, but we still need more resource. And a resource that will really help people according to their status. Like I'm a French-speaking immigrant. If I go to the ESL classes and the teacher speaks Spanish, or the teacher speaks just English, and I don't know any word in English, how this teacher can teach me? So we also need French-speaking immigrants to develop more centers to teach English to those immigrants who came from French-speaking countries. Like I know there is a lot of Latinos ESL centers, Chinese, those from other countries, they have it. I think African immigrants, you know, I just focus on French-speaking because that's my target population. Right. So then we need more centers. I know we have Headland Center, that I know you are the president of this center, and you guys are teaching many French-speaking immigrants, I know that, and that is something we need to encourage. That is those kind of centers need to be developed more in this state, specifically in Omaha.
Well, thank you, Mr. Adama.
Mr. I'm not gonna stop you because talking about even learning English, there can be an issue too. Like if I want to learn English and the center is like 20 miles from where I live, I need transportation. How do I get a transportation to go to learn English every day? I need money. And where do I work? In a restaurant. How much I get paid? And I need to pay my house, I need to pay rent, I need to pay bills, I need to pay food, and I need to go learn English. So we need to have centers more closer to where immigrant population are.
That's a very good point. That's a very, very good point. Now, I wanted to focus a little bit on your personal experience. Now, tell us about the successes you have encountered while selling in Nebraska from your native Burkina Faso. Any successes that you have?
Yeah, my own experience is a very good experience. That's where what we create the African Immigrant Family Services. It came from my own experience. When I came to the United States, I had a master back home. I came here. I have a little bit, you know, I can speak English a little, but you know, we learn British English and American English is the accent is very different. When I came here, it was difficult for me to understand when someone talked to me. So the success I had here, first, I was able to go to school. That's a very big opportunity.
So education?
Education.
Okay. Higher education?
Higher education. I went to Metropolitan College. I take my ESL classes. After I finished my ESL classes, I went to Bellevue University to do my bachelor degree. After I finished my bachelor, I went to Concordia University to do my master in public health.
So that was a success.
So
Any
that's
other
a
success?
Other success is today I'm a president of African Immigrant Family Services. I'm also the president of Association of Burkina Faso Community. Yeah. All those are success because I am really engaged in a community. I work a lot with different kind of community. So community inclusion, working with people, diversity, that's kind of, I learn a lot, and I'm proud we have a country who really taking care or focus on diversity.
Very good. Now, where there's success, there's also challenges, a lot of challenges. Now, and the road to success is, and the road to a successful integration is often full with challenges, right?
Yes.
Now, tell us about some of the challenges you encounter as an immigrant starting over here in the Holland.
Yeah, the first challenge, I know when you start to present me, you said I had a bachelor, master back home before I came here. When I was coming here, I was thinking, oh, if I came, I will use my master to get a job. But that was not true. So that's the thing is you have to evaluate all the knowledge, the degree you got back home. You have to take you don't put it away, but you cannot use it. That's a very stressful situation for many of our African immigrants. They cannot use their degree to work here. They cannot use their degree to pursue their education unless if they do the evaluation. With 2 masters and bachelors, I did the evaluation, and I can only go to start back a bachelor degree.
Wow. Wow.
So you can,
2 masters?
Yeah.
And that brought you back to just to a bachelor level.
To start a bachelor level.
Wow.
You know. Okay. So all this kind of situation can be stressful and can be a very difficult situation for some people. We have like, today I'm working with one of African from Burkina Faso. She was a doctor, like doctor in medicine, and she's here. She needs to go back to school to do LPN.
To be a nurse.
To be a nurse.
A doctor. Okay.
So this, I understand.
This can be frustrating.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but what we can do, I think is based on everything. It's based on language, it's based on the system, but we will work on it. Yeah.
So let me ask you, Mr. Adama, reflecting on your research on the topic of integration of African immigrant here in the U.S., what are your key recommendations to leaders in our city or in the state of Nebraska, if you have any? What are the key recommendations would you give them?
Okay. The main recommendation that I can give to the local authorities in Nebraska, first we need to have those authorities to recognize immigrant effort in this state or in this city. Immigrants are doing a lot. Immigrants work to improve, to increase the economic. So we need to recognize, communication need to come from those authorities telling people what immigrants are doing, what success the immigrants have, what kind of difficulties, trying to find out what is the difficulties. Today, if an immigrant has difficulties, it will affect the immigrant for sure, but it will also affect the system, the city. You know, if an immigrant has an issue to go to work, it cannot be someone who can give input on what he's doing. Right. So we need to encourage, find out what is the problems and find some solution to resolve those problems.
Very good advice. Now, very good recommendation. Now, still reflecting on your work, what general advice would you give to your fellow African immigrants still struggling to adjust to life here in Nebraska?
I have 3. First, immigrant, African immigrant living here, we need to be together. What I mean, we need to be together. We have, like Burkina Faso, we have organization. Togolese have organization. If we need to be together and help us together and give the information. If you have an immigrant and you know that there is an organization, like Burkina Faso organization, you need to be part of this organization.
Right.
So you need to be part of the community. You need to be engaged in the community. That's where you can find a solution for some problem. I also talk about 3R. The 3R is what? The first R, if you are engaged in the community, you will find a respect. You will find a resource.
Okay.
And you will find a residence, some place where you want to stay.
Okay.
So don't stay back. And we need to give information. If we have opportunity, share the opportunities to others. Okay. Help others, assist others. You can think you cannot do anything, but something you can do to help, please do. And we need to encourage immigrants to create more, to be more businesses.
Yes.
The more we have businesses, the more we can give job to people. We need to have centers like yours. We need to have a lot of them. And I know people are already doing it, but we need to keep doing it.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. I think we need to have you more here, Mr. Adama Sawadogo. I want to remind our viewer that today we have Mr. Adama Sawadogo, who is the president of the Burkina Faso community here in Nebraska. He was here talking to us about issues of integration when it comes to African immigrant living in Nebraska. And as he mentioned, residence, the 3R, residence, resource, and respect. And those are three key things that coming together will help immigrants succeed here in the United States. Thank you for being with us today, and we'll see you again. So long.
Thank you.
Horizon d'Afrique, a production of Kwasambia African TV, bridging Africa to the world.
This show is brought to you by John Udrago, Nebraska Realty, serving you and this community since 2019.